so moving on, like in terms of the sports management thing, and I want to Tarun in here. So from a lawyer's perspective, Tarun, because we know that sports law is your, is your specialization. Can you please give us an insight about the legal perspective, the legal framework? If someone wants to be a sports entrepreneur, then what are the legal aspects, and what are like if a lawyer or a law student wants to take sports law as a profession, what are the scopes and chances of that?
So, uh, look, first of all, one has to understand this thing, Roy, that uh, people look, when they talk about sports law, they think sports law works in isolation. One thing that heads up that I want to give everybody who uh, wants to pursue sports law is that it's not necessary that you like sports, then you like sports law also, because sports is a very different aspect than sports law. Of course, when it comes to sports law, you're regulating sports, you're making policy for sports, but in the legal aspect of it, I know of a lot of people who have no interest in sports, but they're brilliant sports lawyers or sports policy makers. Uh, what I'll suggest people who want to take this as a career and who want to be there, because I come from an academic background, so my area of working is not the practical aspect of it, but whatever I've learned through colleagues and through the best of the people that I've known in the field is that you have to keep yourself updated. I think Arjun, being an entrepreneur, will understand this, and everybody who's attending this will understand this, that if you want to do something great in life, you have to know how the market functions and what is happening in the market. So a lot of people, they get into the whole aspect of sports law without actually knowing what's going on in the area. And so I request everybody to please read thoroughly whatever legal aspects, whatever legal dimensions are there, whatever is happening. And to understand sports law, it's very, very critical to understand the basics of every law, because sports law doesn't function in isolation. It's the basics of contract will also function in a sports contract. The basics of labor rights are going to work in sports as well. The basics of human rights violation will also work in sports. So I'll rather suggest people to be absolutely updated about. I won't say that you should be the king of all the subjects that are there, but you should at least know the basics of it. That's one. Number two is that because sports law is a very niche area in this country, and very few people are there to give you that kind of training and to make you realize that how things are going to go in the area. You should look for areas, or you should look for places where you're getting that kind of information. Whether that's a blog, whether that's somebody's webinars, and now because of the whole COVID situation, most of the things are virtual. So it's easy to go there, because before this you were having webinars you have to go to some place and attend it. Now it's not happening. If it's happening in US, you just have to be in the US time, and which can be 3 o'clock in the morning in India, but at least you're at your home. You can sit comfortably and understand how the aspect is. So look for these opportunities wherever you're getting. And the last thing is that write. And when you write about something, it helps in two ways. Number one, it helps you in your creating an understanding and awareness for yourself. And the most important thing it does is that it adds to the literature which is actually there. There's a huge dearth of literature in sports law, at least especially in India. And I, as an individual, are looking for young people and who can write, who can give a different, fresh perspective, because things are changing. Whatever happened right now will change in the next 2 years or 3 years. So a fresh perspective has to be there, especially when things like esports and fantasy sports have come in. So I think these 3-4 things are very important, which I'll request people to do if they want to take a career in sports law.
We have a question from Triman. Triman says that, sir, we have seen consistency being the backbone of the cricketing career of a player. How some players manage to have it all the time, whereas the others do not. What are the pillars of being consistent? So basically, what's the key to consistency? For example, we see that Virat, he's consistent almost all the time, whereas there are so many players we see in the IPL specifically who are seasonal. So one of the seasons they might play brilliantly, and in the other season, you don't even find them. So Arjun, what do you think is the key to this kind of consistency?
Yeah, so firstly, I would say that it's not possible for anyone to be consistent all the time. Even if you see Virat Kohli, he's probably the most consistent batsman we've ever seen. But still, I'm not very good with stats, but I don't think he scored a century in a very long time. So it's not possible for anyone to be consistent all the time. One, two, to be more consistent, there every aspect of your game has to be in place. Like your mental aspect, you have to be in a very good mental state. You have to be positive. You should think that you are playing well. It's very important to visualize yourself in a good playing situation or a condition. Two, you have to be physically very fit. If you've read about Virat Kohli, I've seen him because he used to come for trainings while we were playing the Ranji Trophy games. So I've seen him. He's very, very particular about his fitness regime. He's very, very particular about his diet. Though he's not a vegan, but he's a vegetarian now. And from a person who comes from a Punjabi family who eats non-veg, butter chicken, butter all the time, to be the person he is right now is a very very big task. So I've also played in South Africa for 2 years. I've played for Lenasia South Cricket Club, and that's when I learned the importance of these things. I met a trainer there in a gym, and he gave me such a. I stayed there for 4 months, and luckily I met him. Uh, luckily I met him in the initial first month. So that's when I learned the importance, and I also tried to follow a very like a strict diet, but I couldn't do it for more than 6 months. And he's been doing it for the past, I think, 6 or 7 years. So it's very commendable on his part that he's kept himself very fit. That is true. And then also your regular practice routines. So every player has his own way of practicing. Some players want to practice every day, and some players they just practice just before a match. So that depends on how you take your practice routines, and yeah, so that is one very important aspect of being consistent.
Okay, before we wrap up, because like almost we are nearing the end, I just have two quick questions, but the most important of them all: what are the chances of the Indian cricket team winning the World Cup, World Test Championship? Because as we are speaking here, they are on the field. So, what do you think? What are the chances?
See, firstly, I would say the weather has played a spoil sport. Like I was hoping for a thriller, a very good 5 days of Test match cricket. I
That
was
is
really,
UK for you. That is UK
yeah,
for you, Arjun.
yes. So I was really, really looking forward to good 5 days of Test cricket, but unfortunately that couldn't happen. So now in the current situation, it's still a very balanced game. India has decently scored. I think they've scored 220 odd right now, and they still have 2 3 wickets in hand. So I think 250 to 60 first inning total would be good on this pitch. Then it depends on how they bowl and how the New Zealand batting innings go, and then probably we'll see. But I think since we have a reserve day, we can hope for a result in this Test match.
And one final question, specifically from me. This is the most important question of this session. Will KKR win this IPL edition? Will this miracle happen? What do you think?
No, I don't see KKR winning this IPL. I'm
Do you
sorry,
see
but
RCB winning this one?
probably I think RCB or Chennai. I have my bets on RCB or Chennai this season.
Okay. So 2021 is really going to be something. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, this was a brilliant session. Thank you, Arjun, for coming in. Thank you,
My
Roy, for this
pleasure.
opportunity.
So
And
one more
thanks a
thing
lot,
I would
Arjun.
like to mention that Scratbuzz has also opened a digital news platform. It's called Sports O'Clock. I'm wearing this T-shirt. It has Sports O'Clock here. So we started doing interviews last year in the lockdown, And we have 4 shows running here on this platform. We have featured articles where we interview different cricketers, and we learn and understand about their life and how it's going. Also, we are trying to update the news, but we are not very focused on delivering news because there are too many platforms delivering cricket news or sports news. So our focus is main on exclusive content, and you can definitely log on to Sports O'Clock. It's there on YouTube, Instagram. We have our own website also. So it's something very interesting. And if somebody is interested in working for Sports O'Clock, you can definitely get in touch with me.
Sure. Perfect. Thanks a lot, Arjun, for taking time for this interview. It was wonderful to meet you after so long. And I seriously hope that this year you can, after so long, you can travel to the UK and we can meet in person. That's the first thing that I would love to do. And secondly, Tarun, thanks a lot for taking time out for this session. And we are hoping to collaborate in many more sessions to come.
Thank you very much, Roy. And you didn't invite me to the UK, but I will meet you if I come in.
Oh yeah, sure.
Thank you. This was a
Thank
pleasure.
you, Tarun.
Thank you,
It was
Arjun.
nice talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Roy.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for joining the session.